Welcome to ISC Plus 1 History class. We are going to continue the same lesson, Lesson 2, Emergence of the Colonial Economy. First, we will understand the objectives of the lesson. To discuss the development of means of transportation and communication, the plan for building the railways, disruption of traditional economy, revenue policies, including the permanent settlement and the Ryotwari system, development of modern industries, and colonial forest policies, which includes its impact on local communities. We had already discussed the development of means of transportation and communication. We had already discussed the plan for building the railways. In last session, we had discussed disruption of traditional economy, and in this session, we will discuss about the revenue policies, which will include the two policies, the permanent settlement and Ryotwari system. First, we will go through the terms. Ryot, an Indian peasant. Mortgage, money that you borrow in order to buy a house or flat on security of some valuable thing. Remuneration, a payment made to somebody for the work they have done. Deed of rights, a document containing the terms regarding the ownership of land. Tenant, a person who pays money or rent to the owner of the property. Revitalization, to give new life to something old. Squandered, wasting money or time in reckless or foolish manner. Liabilities, the state of being legally responsible for something. And the last term is evict, to force someone to leave the house or land officially, means with the help of law. We had already discussed in the last session that Warren Hastings was the one viceroy who was interested in the land revenue system of India. So he started bidding system in India, which includes the highest bidder was given collection right, and in case he used to fail to collect land revenue, his right of collecting land revenue was auctioned. So in order to get the collection right, people used to give bid of higher and higher amount, but it became unpractical to collect the land revenue same in entire India, where the land differ in fertility from one province to another. Second drawback was that government was not sure about its land revenue. So British government wanted to introduce fixed land revenue system. So they introduced two systems, permanent settlement and Ryotwari system. And in this session, we will discuss about these two settlements in detail. The permanent settlement was introduced in 1793 by Lord Cornwallis, but this word was not first time used by Lord Cornwallis. In fact, it was used by Philip Francis, who was one of the councillor of Warren Hastings. Some officials of British Parliament like Mr. Alexander Doe and Mr. Henry Putolo also favoured permanent settlement. It was also got support from Pitt's India Act of 1784. So influenced by these factors, Lord Cornwallis decided that he would bring permanent settlement in India. But there was a great controversy between his two officials. One was Mr. Sir John Shore, who was the head of Revenue Department, and second was Mr. James Grant, who was the head of Record Department. Sir John Shore wanted that the permanent land revenue should be signed between the British government and the Zamindars, and the Zamindars should have Zamindari rights on land as they were having before the British came to India in Mughal period. Whereas Mr. James Grant was of view that there should be direct settlement between the Ryot, that means Indian peasants, and the British government. The Zamindars or the peasants should not have any ownership. So Mr. Lord Cornwallis, because he himself was a big landlord in England, so he supported Sir John Shore that the British Parliament should sign a permanent settlement with the Zamindar. Now we will discuss the terms of the permanent settlement. The first was zamindars would enjoy ownership in hereditary basis. The zamindars would have full control, full ownership on the land, and this ownership would pass from one generation to another. As long as they pay the regular land revenue, their ownership could not be snatched. So till the time they were paying the full land revenue to the government was not interested to take over their ownership right, so they would retain their ownership till they were paying the regular land revenue. But in case of failure to pay land revenue, their zamindari rights would be auctioned and it would be given to some other person. The land revenue would be fixed for 10 years, and in these 10 years the government would not enhance or increase it. Initially, this permanent settlement was to be implemented in only Bengal and Bihar, but later on it would be extended to Banaras in UP and North Carnatic. Carnatic is modern day Hyderabad. There were some merits of this permanent settlement or system, like now the government was showed that what was their income, it was certain and it was fixed. Because the zamindars were given the ownership of the land, so the government assumed that they would improve the irrigation system and agriculture. There was no frequent transfer of land as it was there in the bidding system. But there were so many demerits or drawbacks in permanent settlement, like the zamindars misused their rights of land. As British government has given the ownership of land to zamindars, in return zamindars did not accept the ownership of peasants on the land, so the peasants were easily evicted by the zamindars. The second drawback was no deed of rights, or better known as patta, which was given according to Regulation Act of Regulation 8 clause of 1793 permanent settlement, and there was no authority to check the zamindars that why they were not following the right deed of rights or the patta system. Then the third drawback was that increased number of intermediaries. There were so many middlemen between the British government and the Indian peasant. Like for the help of collection of land revenue, the zamindars had appointed patnidars and dar patnidars. These patnidars and dar patnidars, they used to collect more land revenue from Indian peasants, enhanced revenue from peasants. The zamindars had increased the land revenue or the land tax from the peasants manifold, but they used to pay the government the fixed amount which was fixed according to the permanent settlement of 1793. So that means there was total exploitation of peasants by zamindars and these middlemen like patnidars or dar patnidars. Now, apart from the permanent system, the other system was the Reutwadi settlement, which was introduced by Alexander Reed in 1796. It was specially implemented in southern and western parts of India, and especially in Mysore and Peshwa land, which the British have occupied after defeating the Peshwas. This Reutwadi system was for 30 to 40 years. It means that there was direct settlement between government and the peasants have to pay 50% of land revenue. There would be no intermediaries or middlemen between the Reut or the peasant and the British government. There would be no zamindar, no pattadari system, and there was no other helping persons which used to help the zamindars. Then Thomas Munro reduced the land revenue to 1/3 of total produce. Initially, it was 50%, which was introduced by Mr. Alexander Reed, and Thomas Munro reduced it to 1/3, that means almost 33 to 34% of total produce. So there were some merits of Reutwadi settlement, like there was no oppression of Reut or peasants by the zamindars, as there was no zamindars between the government and the peasants. the land revenue was reasonable. We have already discussed from 50% to it was made 1/3 by Thomas Munro. But still there were many drawbacks in this Rayotwadi settlement, like no ownership of land by Rayot. The Rayot or the Indian peasant was not given any ownership of land. So they were like hired tenants. They could work over there till they were paying the regular land revenue. After 30 to 40 years, because this settlement was for 30 to 40 years, the rate was enhanced. The British government used to re-evaluate or reassess the land revenue system, and usually they used to increase it. And in that system, if old Rayot could be evicted, if the old Rayot said that he was not unable to pay the land revenue, the increased land revenue, that the old Rayot could be evicted or he could be forced to leave the land legally by the British government. So both these permanent settlement and Rayotwadi settlements led to revitalization of landlordism in India. Already prevalent before the British came, there was a landlord system in India. These two settlements were only new in name. They gave in fact new life to the old zamindari system or landlord system in India. I hope you have understood till here. With the help of this explanation and internet, you are advised to make notes of above topic. Thank you.